Hello, 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 and welcome to Unique Leaders Live. I'm Megan DiMartino, and I am so excited about our today's show. We have a treat for you. Kathy Tagenel is with me. She is an amazing woman with an amazing story, and as I've shared, that the success of us all is in the story. And that is why I've put together Unique Leaders Live, because it's not about what you see today, what they went through to get today. So I want to every week share with you an amazing, unique leader. And these people are from, I had Roland Waits, the assistant police chief of the Georgetown, Texas Police Force, to the social media amazing educators, Kim and Mike Barnes, to on and on and on. So that there's just a panoply of leaders in every walk of life, in every stage of their life, because they also have goals and dreams and desires beyond today. So we're going to discover those too. And every person last week when I interviewed Lisa Beth Thomas, AKA LB, she shared that she went to the Lee Strasberg School of Acting. I didn't know that. I've asked a few people that know LB, and they said no, they did not know that. So we received these nuggets from our unique leaders. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to my dear friend, Kathy Tagenel.
Thank you, Megan. It's such an honor to be with you, here with you, and everyone else. Thank you.
It is my extreme pleasure, Kathy, because you are such a treasure in every way. You're a go-giver, and we'll get into that, and by the word go. And you are a true go-giver. You have an amazing story. I have spoken to you about your life personally, but also just when you see it in an kind of a bio fashion, it's like, wow, this is very, very interesting, very meaty for all of our guests. So I didn't go into in depth, so we'll start and discuss it. But I do want to say that Kathy is president of the Go. What is the corporate name, so I can say it correctly?
Sure, Go Givers International.
Okay, and that is with Bob Burg, and we'll go further into that. But I do want to go back to what created Kathy, where Kathy began. So tell us where you were born and a little bit about your childhood, and from also the position of what led you, because I'm going to interject this right now. You have a degree of electrical engineering. That's interesting. And then and then a kind of a right turn over to entrepreneurship. But before we go there, I would like you to share, who Kathy is and where, a little bit about your childhood and that beginning that led you then to electrical engineering, and then we'll go on from there.
Thank you, Megan. Well, I was born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri. To my wonderful parents, Jean and Mary Camp is my maiden name. My father was an engineer. He self-taught. He was not able to go to college, so he taught himself everything and has over 12 patents to his name. So I like to think I got a little bit of his intelligence, but he taught me to dream and to believe I could be anything that I wanted to. So I had a great childhood. We ended up, when I was 12, we moved out to the country, which was 2 hours outside of St. Louis in a little town called Millersburg. And we had horses and dogs. My favorite things was dogs. And so in high school, my dream was to become a heart surgeon. I actually was going to become a doctor, and specifically a heart surgeon. So I set off to college thinking I was going to conquer the world, and started majoring in biomedical engineering. Thought that would be a great pre-med subject. And it was until I went and observed surgery one day. I spent the day seeing brain surgery, heart surgery, a liver transplant. And there was a moment during the day, it was towards the end of the day, that we were in a surgery room and the rock music's blaring and the surgeons are laughing while, whatever. I understand, very stressful. You have to do what you do, but I stepped back enough. They have the screen, so you do not see the patient's face. And I stepped back and I saw the person's face and this whole thing, and it just hit me. And I'm like, this is not my path. So I changed majors from that experience. I really couldn't at the time say why. I just knew every cell of my being was not going to be a heart surgeon.
Wow. Yeah, I just want to interject. Let's just stop there for a minute, because that's a very important epiphany.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading an article just today about epiphanies. And that's a whole other subject, but that truly is, I couldn't let you just go on, because for our listeners, those moments happen throughout our lives and you must pay attention. Now, you obviously were in a very unique environment. Let's just say that, wasn't walking down the street or getting on the subway and having an epiphany. You were in a very serious environment. And you knowing you take things seriously. You're not, flippant in your goals. You're not. And so you were looking at that, but more as important as that, you recognized at that moment that your path was not going down that road.
That's right. There was something. And like I said, I couldn't have said it. Now I can say that there was a sacredness of human life that I just feel wasn't being honored at that moment. And I knew my path was more of a natural type of path. I didn't know it then. I just knew that was not the door for me. So that's how I ended up going into electrical engineering. It was like, I stepped back and like, okay, I'm not going to be, biomedical engineer. And also I had wanted to co-op, which basically it meant that I would alternate going to school and working in the engineering field. And it was one of those, I wasn't quite sure, was that really what I wanted to do? And it was very important that I work. We were not wealthy, so I, was incurring a lot of debt going to school, and I wanted to be working as, to help pay for the wonderful education I was receiving. So I stepped back and I thought, well, everything's electrical, everything's energy. So I thought, okay, electrical engineering, that'll give me the most options. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, because I was not that child who grew up with I like to joke, some of my buddies that I went through the engineering curriculum with, I'd be like, John, you grew up with a radio in your crib, taking it apart. I mean, it just didn't come as natural. So I worked really hard and had great friends who helped me, get through that. So, but what it taught me is that I could do anything. If I could do Fourier series analysis, anything.
I don't even know what you said. What that is. I agree.
I just tell you. I was always a good student, but in engineering school, there would be times I'd sit and look at a test. I don't know how many of you can relate. And I'd be like, I don't know if I can answer any of these questions, even though I'd really studied. So thank goodness for partial credit. So
then you went on and got your master's. And what was that field in? Yes.
Sure. Well, getting there, so I was in electrical engineering, and one of my electives was a writing class. And in that class, we had guest people come in, and it was at the time, if you remember, it used to be Ma Bell. The phone system was one big company. So I'm dating myself. So this was just around 1983, 82, 83. And one of the lawyers for the AT&T breakup came in to talk with us. And I don't know, I was just so captivated with the idea of the free market, the whatever. And I thought networking is going to be important. So I'm like, okay, that's going to be my path. So I ended up co-oping with IBM, got my experience like that, and then graduated, started working for IBM as a sales rep for them, because by then I knew I wanted to be in business and someday I would own my own business. From graduating from college, I just had that view that I knew that's what I wanted. And I thought, so even though I had a technical background, I want to be in sales, because you need to know sales, right?
Absolutely. Yes. Because sales is communication, it's education. And it's that form of relationship building.
Definitely.
Yes, but it's interesting listening to this, because you can read a bio of someone, but the heart and soul of what is in between the lines is really the interesting meat of what creates. And I go back to, I'm sitting here listening to you and I'm thinking, you said when you were in high school, you said you were going to be a heart surgeon. You were going to be a surgeon and you were going to be a heart surgeon. But in knowing you, this is an assumption, but that's because your heart, to coin a pun, was to help people.
Yes. I wanted to help people heal their hearts. So, and that will come back. So,
Okay.
And that's something that I, now 55 years into this journey.
And that is a journey, folks. Yes.
It is a journey, and realizing every twist and turn is important. And like, there's just no one path, but everything that I have experienced has gotten me to where I'm at. So everything happens for a reason. There really are no accidents, and there's something for our own growth and development in everything that we do, even the really hard things that happen to us. So
when did you leave the Midwest? Now you're at IBM and in sales. When did you leave that area?
So I grew up in Missouri and I went to Northwestern in Chicago. So I went to school. I actually co-opted in North Carolina, the Research Triangle Park. So to drive across country to do my co-oping stints. And then my last year, I was like, okay, I'm tired of driving, going so far. And so I actually worked it out so I could work downtown Chicago at IBM. Got a job working for them and was able to finish out that. So when I graduated, my position with IBM was in downtown Chicago. So I had a blast in my 20s living in downtown Chicago, working all kinds of fun things. I ended up running the Chicago Marathon while I was there working. Just loved the city and that life. And I left IBM after a year. Fabulous sales training, but I realized that wasn't kind of the place for me. So this was back when it was very much white shirts only. And I would tell my branch manager, I don't look good in white. And so I'd be wearing purple shirts, I still look very professional. It just, I learned a ton going through the very rigorous sales training that they had. But then so this is, I just want to share, you never know who you might connect with. So before I took the job with IBM, I was flying home to see my family. And on my flight, I ran into a gentleman who happened to work for Illinois Bell, which became Ameritech. And we had a very nice conversation. He had asked me to reach out to him, and I applied to Illinois Bell as well because they had a wonderful management development program that I really wanted to do. But they said to me, we want to hire you, but can you wait 8 months? Because of co-oping, I graduated like in December as opposed to the typical period. And I was like, well, I have student loans to pay. I kind of need a job right now. So I took the IBM offer and did the sales training. But within my year at IBM, he contacted me and said, why didn't you join us? And I explained it. And so then they offered again, and it was a good chance. So then I switched and I joined their management development program, which was great experience. We had a little boot camp for 20 days where we climbed in manholes, climbed telephone poles, spliced cables. We learned the business inside and out.
That is fantastic. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really glad I made that change. Every year I got to rotate to a different position. So I had a new challenge, and it really worked for me, who thrives on challenges. If I do the same thing over and over for too long, it just whatever. So I stayed in the Midwest, and it was when I was at Ameritech, Illinois Bell became Ameritech, that I went to school at night and got my MBA at the University of Chicago.
I see.
So that was really helpful. And then I decided I wanted to move back to Missouri to be closer to family. And I took a position as a administrator for a large community college, starting a new division called their network services. It was when PCs were just getting started, and they didn't know what to do with all these PCs and whatever. So I came in and led the development of the networking support services. And that got me back to the Midwest.
And remember, you said in your sequence that in the electrical engineering piece, that networking would be important down the road. And so you recognized that and kept your eye on that ball, so to speak, of networking.
I did. And I will say that's why I left IBM. So a little backtrack. At IBM, I took a position in what was called the IBM Information Network. Doesn't exist today. It only existed for a little while. But back in 1987, they were starting to connect all the mainframe computers. And again, in college, I'm thinking networking is the way to go. We need to, connect everything. But when I was there, we were second-class citizens in the IBM world. We weren't the mainframe sales. We were just the network. And I'm a little rebel. I'm like, we're going to be the important ones. Someday they're going to realize that the network is where it's at. And so that's why I moved. One of the reasons I moved to Ameritech, because I realized building the network that would connect everyone was going to be a more important way to go. And IBM did that out later.
And they found it out later. Exactly. And I was going to say, there's a quote, networking, it creates your net worth, or network, net worth is from your network. So it's Miss Kathy, way ahead of her time there. But
I knew my destiny was networking. Who knew that I would be, working with Bob Burg someday?
Yes,
the king,
exactly. Yes. Well, we're going to take a second and just say hi to a few folks that have been on visiting with us.
Everybody.
And
hi, Ann.
And there's Teresa Hullock and Michael Mills and Lisa Beth Thomas. Hello, my love. And Ann Butler. Good to see you guys. Thank you for joining Kathy and I today.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
So now you're in the Midwest back, working with Ameritech. And so what was your next step?
Okay, so when I left Ameritech and I moved to be closer to family in Missouri, I actually lived in Kansas, right across the border, and worked for over 4 years with the community college. It was the Metropolitan Community Colleges of Kansas City. So I did that for four years, worked with them and built out, started with the division. It was me supporting all the campuses, and we ended up building a team of 35 people. We supported 14 locations, and I can't even remember how many computers we had. But
yes,
it was a lot of fun, and it was a great team of people. And to see that other side where we were the actual end users of all the technology. So very high. Any of you in the tech world, you know how stressful that world can be when you never know when everything's going to go down, and you spend your whole weekend with your team trying to get the servers back online. So a lot of interesting experiences.
Wow. So, listen up until this point, and there's a lot of story to go, but the foundation that you have set for yourself, not only from the standpoint of accomplishing electrical engineering and, not sleeping with the radio in their bed, type of person, to, leave and knowing to leave, the heart surgery lane and physician, medical field, really, and to switch fields and go into a field you weren't even sure about, but then gleaned from that and took that, but yet stayed true to your heart, your passion, your purpose, which was not totally done, but you were getting all of your foundational things done, and that education done with all of this period. Yes. So what next, my friend?
Well, this thing of wanting to help people was important. Walking away from being a doctor was still hard, even though I knew that the Western wasn't my way. So here I found myself a very high-tech, stressful job. I was still running a lot. I had completed one Chicago marathon, and I was like, I'm going back, because the first time I ran it, it was a blizzard. It was on Halloween, and it took me for over almost 5 hours to complete, but I finished it. And I wanted to go back, and I knew I could run it faster than that. So I was training, and realized getting therapeutic massage was really helpful to recover. So then I got the idea, I'm just going to go back and get my certificate, become a licensed massage therapist, so I could get, trade to take care of myself, but also take care of family and friends. So I did that at nights while I worked, and it was so much fun, just getting to do that little dabble and learn something that was so the opposite of what I did, during the day, and really did help me. And I did complete that one next to marathon. So that love for the healing never left me. And when I was at the college, one of my old bosses from Ameritech, and this is key to stay in touch with people. She actually came looking for me and found me and said, I want to hire you to run a division in the Kansas City area for me. So I ended up leaving the college and had one of my dream jobs. It was phenomenal. I was general manager of a business unit it was a company called Verio. It was in the early days of the internet, when all the little internet service providers existed. And this company was coming in to bring together, kind of merge a lot of the smaller players to create that. So that was a lot of fun. I had my own team. I had to relocate people to the Kansas City area and build that team from scratch. And that went well for about 6 months. And then one day I got a call from my boss, and she had been forced to resign. And, most of my corporate career, if any of you can relate, it was all about downsizing, right sizing, upsizing, any kind of sizing you could think of.
Put in the shaker and shake it up.
That's right. And this was the first time that, and when I was hired with the company, I had said, I don't want to be a part of that. I want to know that I'm joining a firm that is committed to people, and that letting people go will be the last resort, not the first, And that was something that my boss, Mary, who I had worked with before, we were both committed to. So we were very careful in growing our team, not making sure we weren't hiring people that, we couldn't support. But then they ended up hiring someone from Ameritech who came in, and all of a sudden I find myself one week being told to hire 4 people. And then the next week being flown to Dallas and told, oh, by the way, you're going to have to let 4 people go. And so that was really hard, because this was a dream position. And I just realized my corporate days were done. And so I laid myself off. I didn't want to stay in a company that would do that. I mean, I even went to the president of the company and went through my financials for my business unit and said, this is not where the problem is. Here's where I need your help, and we can make our numbers. But that wasn't, unfortunately, the case. So I ended, and then I thought I was going to go back to medical school, but as a naturopath. So I've had a 10-year cycle of thinking I wanted to go back to be a doctor. So I was all set to starting to figure out what that would entail, to go back to get some there were different credits that I still needed before I could go to naturopath school. And then a family friend called and said, hey, before you do that, come help me start a business. And so I thought, oh, okay, well, all right, I'll spend a little time to help, and then I'll go on to school. Well, that didn't happen. I spent a year in Alabama, of all places, helping create a business called Growing Assets. It was for a forester. And I developed the information system that would track all of the client, trees, forest, if you will, kind of thing.
The trees. Okay.
It is a crop. It's a very long-term crop. But so that was a fascinating experience. And then during that year, I met my future husband, and ended up getting married and moving to Albuquerque. So that moved me out west, and my start of being out west, and the start of being an entrepreneur. Really, that first year with Growing Assets was my first experience of being part of a small
Yeah.
startup type business.
Right. Right. Which was good. Which was a good
Yeah.
experience to be on the trenches, as they say, and to see what
Yeah.
it takes to do that. Yeah. Very, very good. Because that is a piece that I see with individuals who are creative and would like to start a business, but they really don't know how to start.
Mhm.
And I'm saying I learned by doing. And but luckily you were working for someone in a startup, because you gleaned that information. So that's great. So then
Yeah.
you and your husband started working together. Like you said, you started your entrepreneurial journey.
Right. We weren't working exactly together at first. He was in grad school,
Mhm.
and so I had my consulting company at the time and was doing some various projects. And then one of my clients ended up wanting to become my business, wanted me to join him in his business as a business partner, and that's how my Zoom Strategies company.
Well, I was going to bring that in. I've been waiting for this moment. This
Yes.
woman incorporated a business in 2004, and the
Yeah.
name is
Zoom Strategies. And it was formed because at the time my married name was Zader, Zader, and my business partner was David Moyer. Wonderful man, fabulous. We hit it off when I had hired him to help me do some marketing that I was working in a software company. And then when we parted ways, he came and found me and said, "Hey, would you join and be my partner?" So we created Zoom Strategies. We were trying to figure out, what do you do with a Z and an M? So Zoom marketing was taken, so it became Zoom Strategies. So we've been around a long time, longer than Zoom video communications, but I always have loved the name.
it's a very valuable name today, my friend. Yes.
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 So,
And it's an interesting, when I read that, because I didn't know that. I mean, you've shared that with me recently, but when I was rereading that in your bio, I was thinking to myself how back again through the networking, look at what has, I'm going to use the word saved, that's too strong, but has been such a important piece to this shutdown of the world is Zoom technology. But what is that
yeah.
doing? Networking.
Yes, connecting people for
Very, very
sure.
interesting. Very interesting. No
Yeah.
accidents. No accidents. No.
No accidents at all. And just a little aside. So while I was building Zoom Strategies with my business partner, Dave, my husband, Josh, was in grad school, but my former business partner in Alabama had reached out to us and said, "Kathy, can you build a website that would help connect people that share my values and my interest?" And Josh and I were like, "Yeah, sure, we can do that." So we built a site called the Atlasphere, and it was to connect people that were fans of Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. And so that was Josh's little project. And it did nicely. We ended up creating a dating service because that's what people asked for. And it was a nice little business. And then he joined me in Zoom Strategies because he was doing web development, and our clients were, so this would have been 06.
Okay.
Websites became very, very prominent. So our marketing, Dave and I were developing marketing programs and systems for clients, and websites became, the key thing. And Dave, he was so wonderful. One of our clients hired him to be the CEO of their company. So then Josh joined me in Zoom Strategies full time. He decided he didn't want to finish his doctorate, that he enjoyed the business world better. So
no, often
yeah.
you get to that place and it's like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to Zoom. I'm ready to do it.
Yeah. He was having so much fun with the websites that, and it really was. I love that aspect of it, bringing something visual. That was very powerful. And it was in 2006. So in my marketing, I had read Endless Referrals by Bob Burg. I think in 2005, I probably heard about it in BNI. I was very active in BNI in Albuquerque. I love that book. I quoted him in my marketing workshops that I would do. And then one day, Josh forwards an email to me, and it's from Bob Burg asking if we would promote his first live event. And I remember going back, I had the book and I go back to Josh's office and I'm like, is that email from the Bob Burg? Did Bob really write to us? And he looks at me like I'm nuts. And he said, Kath, Bob has been a columnist on the Atmosphere for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, that Bob Burg is the same, it's like there were two different worlds. And I have to say, I was so obviously caught up in building, Zoom strategies that I wasn't paying as much attention to the, the Atmosphere as I probably should have. But so is that not funny?
Not only funny, but such synergy and serendipity. But I just want to share one thing that I have thought of myself in life, like you said about meeting that gentleman on the plane when you were, young gal, is that everyone is a person with a life and a story.
Yes. And a story.
And a story. And what, like you, before connection, before certainly the internet, websites, that type of thing, long before Facebook and social media, we didn't have the connection with people. So I don't know. I don't think it's that strange, actually, that this author of this book that you quoted all the time in BNI, that you didn't connect the dots, because he's this Bob Burg and this other person is a guy that's on, the publication.
Atmosphere. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I think it is so awesome that the world has come together, that we can communicate. And I mean, I've seen some amazing people on different Zoom calls that you, like the Bob Burg point of endless referrals, that you would never have assumed or expected them to come on to, some sort of Zoom presentation,
That is so true.
So you met Mr. Bob Burg.
Yes. So we went to helped promote his live event. We went to his event. I got to meet him in person. And so it was just really great. And then I hadn't, I didn't hear from him. So that event was like in February of 2006. And then I think around November of 2006, an email came out. I was on his email list. And he and his business partner at the time were asking, would anyone like to host a live event? The Go Giver was going to be published at the end of December of that year. Is that 2007 or 2008? Okay, this would be 2007. So 2006 was when first, 2007 was the event. So it was the end of 2007. And I was like, would you come to Albuquerque? Like who comes to Albuquerque? It's a secondary market. I mean, I love living there, but I didn't think he would come. And they wrote back and said, sure, sell 200 tickets and get all these sponsors and we'll be there. And I was like, sure. And then I was like, okay, I've never done that before, but I want to bring Bob. I just knew he was going to have so much value. And so I got to read an advanced copy of the Go Giver. I loved it. And I'm like, we need this. We need this. So I set about in December. Yes. And I took the Go Giver and endless referrals, and within a month I'd lined up my fifth, sponsors. I had already sold quite a few tickets. And they reached out to me and said, you seem to know what you're doing. Would you like to manage this nationwide for us? And I was like, don't you want me to have the event first? My event was scheduled for the end of March. And by this time, it was the end of January. And they're like, no, we see you get what you're doing. So we need help, please. So in addition to doing my event, I also started teaching other people who are interested how to put on this event. So I systematized what I was doing. Happy to report that we had a phenomenal event. We sold over 200 tickets, had a fabulous gathering there in Albuquerque, and it was a huge hit. And I got to meet, Bob again. He came out in person and everybody loved him. And so it's one of those, don't ever limit what you can do if you're just willing to be a little courageous and say, I can do this. And
I can do it. As Glenn Lundy today said, just say yes.
That's right. That's right. And I'm so glad I did it. I met so many people. I liked and when I was teaching other people how to do it, it's like, it was applying everything I learned in Endless Referrals and the Go Giver. I was out networking, but I wasn't talking about my business. I was talking about these books that were so powerful and effective, but it only helped my business because, you know, I had a reason that I was out there and I was giving value. And the people who came to the event, even my former business partner, he came up to me afterwards and he goes, you know, Kath, I didn't think you'd be able to do this, to be honest. You really amazed me. Not that he didn't think I was capable.
No, but the magnitude of the project. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that enough people in Albuquerque would come together to do something like that. So it was really fun. And that, you know, started my work with Bob Burg. He hired us to, well, me to handle what we call the City Partner Program, we've had over 50 live events that, you know, across the country. We're not doing them as often now, but those first few years we did quite, like the first year we did 11 live events together.
11. So in a sense, the same magnitude that you put on in Albuquerque, you did.
Yeah.
11.
Not all were
that
big, but yes, we were able to have some very successful events across the country. It was so much fun. Again, connecting people and sharing the Go Giver message. And then we also took on all of Bob's website work during that year. So are we doing okay time-wise, or?
You know, I haven't even looked.
Okay.
And we're perfect, actually. We're perfect.
Okay.
No. So I just wanted to see if any other folks had come on and joined us. And so Laura Berman has joined us, and she is a wonderful gal that I've met in the
hey there, Laura.
I was going to say Go Giver in the Glenn Lundy Rise and Grind world. She's just a lovely, lovely lady. And Catherine Hickman also in that same world. So it's been, again, that connection, Kathy, that, you know, reaching out and meeting new people and connecting, and how it you know, really joins together. No, I just wanted to see who else had come on with us. So, you know, and I'm also thinking about the year's timeline, meaning the late 2000s, and how, you know, but again, if you look, folks, at everything Kathy has shared, it's applicable to today, just different technology potentially, but it's all getting back to that connection and that networking and giving back and giving back. So then you put on all of these events, and Bob was able to share the the Endless Referrals, and of course the Go Giver 5 Laws of Stratospheric Success, the foundation of that, and the Go Giver Way. And then you obviously then built a relationship with he and his company, and so then continued on from there. So do tell.
Sure. So yeah, we started handling all of his marketing stuff, and then in 2008, after my event, 3 months later, we picked up and moved from Albuquerque and went to Nevada, Carson City, Nevada. So when I got there, I thought, oh, okay, I'm going to have an event here. But I knew enough because I knew Bob's system. It's like, I need to network. I need to start getting to know people. I need to identify who the centers of influence are in the Reno, Tahoe, Carson City area. So I did that for the first 6 months, and then, you know, identified who those people were and decided, okay, I'm ready, you know, to start promoting an event. So I did. So April of 2009, I brought Bob out to Reno, and we had a nice event. Not quite as good as my Albuquerque one, because maybe I should have waited a little longer until I was a little more established. I learned a lot of powerful lessons, you know, about what I could do, the extent, you know, so it was very powerful, but it still was a great event. And then that was when, you know, financially the world fell off a cliff in 2009. Remember? Do you remember that? That seems easy compared to what we're living through now. Almost, right?
I don't know. It's all crazy. It's all crazy.
Right. So 09, we didn't do as many events that year because of what was going on. I had one, and we had one in Chicago. Um, but also that year, my husband and business partner, decided to go our separate ways. We wanted to grow in different ways. So and then unbeknownst to me, a couple weeks later, I had not told Bob. We hadn't been in contact for a few months because we had stopped working together for a little bit. He and his business partner decided to part ways, and he reached out to me and said, "I'd really like for you to help me, step in and take over what Tom was doing." So it was this perfect, here I was going to be starting all over again,
Mhm.
and you know, Bob stepped in. I still had clients, a lot of the Zoom strategies clients
Mhm.
stayed with me. Some went with Josh. So it was just like a whole, like starting over.
Yeah, yeah. New birth,
Um,
new life. Novita.
Definitely,
Mhm.
definitely. And just a little aside, but prior to that, I had actually was thinking I was going to go back to school again for traditional Chinese medicine. So that had crept back up in me that I still wanted to be in a health related field. So I was preparing for that, but then Josh and I went our separate ways. And while I was still pursuing it, I was doing things on the side, learning. I started studying Qigong with Dr. Liu in New York City, and was going to continue down that path to go back to school. I again learned that that was not quite what I wanted to be doing, that
Right,
I was still meant to be in the business world.
right.
But that experience and all that training for the past 10 years has been invaluable to
Mhm.
me,
Mhm.
and what I can do in the business world, because everything is energy, and it's all about our connection with one another, and it's why the Go Giver movement has been so important to me. And I've been fortunate since, '08 to be working with Bob in growing this movement, connecting people who this message resonates with, this premise that shifting your focus
Yes.
from getting to giving is not only a pleasant way to live your life, but it is the most profitable, and not just financially, but all the other ways in which we profit. And profit just means that you're gaining something. So whether it's in our relationship, our health, all of those things. So it's just such a powerful message. And to see how much, that message is permeated worldwide, has been a blessing and a joy for me. And that's
And
how I met you.
amen. And that is how we met. And
Yes.
often I'll be writing or doing something like that, and I'll think of the five laws, and I don't have them in front of me, and I'll just
Mhm.
Google it, and of course it comes up, and okay, and so my point of sharing that is that you're right, Kathy. Whenever I read these,
Mhm.
so many of other nuggets that people share, the essence comes from these five laws. It's very,
Mhm.
very interesting how the
Mhm.
essence of it, is that
Mhm.
foundation. And we
Yeah.
both know that it's also spiritually derived. And
Mhm.
so if people would just take a minute, and I'm not saying they don't, but I'm just encouraging people to take a minute and Google, and not saying to not buy the book, but
Yeah.
or Bob's other books, but just
Right.
to begin to read and meditate on those five laws. They're very powerful. I have
Yeah.
this lamination here, and this has been
Oh.
in the I mean, not this one, but one
Mhm.
like this has been in the dispensary of the Novitas Spa for years now.
Oh,
And
thank you. Thank you.
but it's not about thanking me. It's about
Mhm.
helping them open up and understand, because this is a service business, just like your
Yeah.
the origination of why you went, the why you took
Mhm.
the time to get your massage license. It all has a thread.
Yeah.
It all has a thread through it. It's so
It does.
fascinating to me,
It does.
the stories. It's all about you, and
Right.
working with Bob and closely with Bob, so all of these years, and spreading this, and I've also found that in your bio, you use and I've read this before, but again, it jumped out at me, the Go-Giver movement. Explain that
Mhm.
a tad.
Sure, sure. Well, first I want to say, Megan, you so embody who a go-giver is. It's your heart, it's your spirit. It's just a joy. And I've loved the times I've been able to come and enjoy the Novitas Spa and your products. I mean, you just are the
Thank you,
go-giver.
Kathy. Thank you.
So,
Means
so
a lot
thank
to
you.
me because it
Yeah,
truly is what that is. I would like to say it's just naturally, but yet but it also comes from a decision, a choice every day,
yeah.
right?
And it really is our hearts.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm. It is.
Truly, truly.
Mm-hmm.
So with the movement,
Mm-hmm.
it's really I think after the first 2 years, Bob and I realized the book was selling so much and just spreading, and people from all over the world. It's now in 29 languages. Um, that this is a movement, it like say a global phenomenon, and it's because the message, it's timeless. It's not unique. Bob and John are the first to say they didn't come up with these laws are timeless, but what they did that was unique is the way in which they put them together and put them in this incredible story that touches your heart. That through that story, it resonates with you. And so the quality of individuals that resonate with this message and then are drawn, to be part of the movement, it is just phenomenal. It is the joy of my life. Almost every day we get an email from somebody who just read the book and, oh my gosh, this totally changed the way that I'm thinking about my life, about business. It just motivates me to want to find more ways to share this message so that more people, can benefit from it.
What year was it
And
published? I'm thinking back. Was it 6, 7? Is that when it was published?
it was the end of '07. It was
Oh,
like
07.
December 27th. So we pretty much say '08. But
Okay.
yes, so
Okay.
it's
Oh,
been
wait.
out
Over
for
10 years.
12.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're almost at 1 million copies sold.
Wow. Wow.
So it really has been organic growth with the book. And Bob, to his credit, he is the ultimate go-giver. He lives his message, and he has been tireless in sharing this message. He still, to this day, does 2 or more interviews almost every day with people that would like to talk with him and share this message. So, I mean, they now have 4 in the series. So there's the Go-Giver, Go-Giver Sell More, the Go-Giver Leader, and the Go-Giver Influencer. Now, the leader, some of you may know it as, it was originally titled It's Not About You when it first came out.
Really?
And yes, it was. It didn't, unfortunately, while that was an interesting title, it was not a gift title like the Go-Giver. You can give the Go-Giver to someone as a gift, and it's a compliment. I mean, they read that. But if you give someone a book called It's Not About You, it a bit of a disconnect. And it also was the key point, that in the end,
Yes.
it's not about you. It's about where your focus is, about the other person, that type of thing. So, and it really was a story of leadership. So it was retitled and republished, a slight rewrite, and a couple little things. So it became the Go-Giver Leader, which fit more with the brand. And then 2 years ago, they wrote the Go-Giver Influencer, which is a phenomenal book as well. So,
we kind of lost you for a minute. So
oh,
2 years ago, the influencer, correct?
yes, the Go-Giver
Yes.
Influencer came out.
Yes.
That is
Because
right.
that's when I had read the Go-Giver. I had not read the second book, but then, and I had read Endless Referrals years prior, but then the influencer, and that's when I came to your Entrepreneurs Academy the summer of 18, and
That's right.
and connected with both you and Bob, and it was a wonderful experience. And if anyone wants to really shared about her journey, because this is all about Kathy and how she evolved and came to this place. But this is a wonderful way to spend time with people that are going to enrich your life
Mhm.
and grow your life, and not just Kathy and Bob, because certainly Mr. Burg is there and with
Yes.
the whole step of the way, but the other individuals, because you mentioned that, like you get
Mhm.
emails from people saying, I just read this, so,
Mhm.
these many 12 years later, people are still being introduced and being touched. And
Mhm.
and so it is just a wonderful body of work that they have put together. And then you go on to the speaker and coaching program if you so chose. So they have a wonderful program together. But you now have, and you started this, both you and Bob, before
Mhm.
this all started, but you're doing an online course for the endless referrals.
Yes, we put that out this year. Endless Referrals, the Go Giver Way. So it replaced. Bob used to have. It started out as cassette tapes,
Mhm.
um, and actually, it was a program he taught live, and he recorded it, and then the book came afterwards. Um, and it was just time to update and bring it into the video format and bring the 5 laws into it, because
Mhm.
when he teaches live, he shares the 5 laws, because you need that mindset. You
Mhm.
need to shift that focus and be focused on giving first and
Mhm.
setting up that energetic flow and staying open to
Mhm.
receiving.
Mhm.
So we're very excited that we have that course available. We also have complimentary, a free mini course called Selling the Go Giver Way, 4 short videos. It's just under 2 hours of training to help sort of lay a base foundation about what selling really is. What's the truth about selling? What about objections? What's the truth about closing and objections? Um, so that's a wonderful thing. We can send the link if people are
Yes,
interested
we'll put
in.
that in the body of, we'll put all of this in the
Yeah,
body of this post.
yeah.
And so,
So
as you're speaking about this, is this these programs, online programs, are they set up where I haven't done them yet? Um,
mhm,
are they, but like you said, you just said it combines it all, endless referrals with
mhm.
the 5 laws, the Go
Yes.
Giver Way. Is this a program that could be used as a facilitator and training and using it as a program to teach?
That's part of our certified speakers and coaches have that opportunity. They'll
Okay.
be able to take that and train it, or they can, have someone go through the videos and coach along with it. I'm doing some of that with clients, because Bob teaching, he's the master, but then we can spend our energy helping them really apply what
Hmm.
they're doing. And that's what's really nice about the course. It's laid out step-by-step action plan of how to put your endless referrals, the Go Giver Way system in place. And then we have 2 new things that'll be coming out this year that I'm very excited about, if there's time for me to quickly share.
Please, yes, we
So,
have time. Yes, ma'am.
okay, so the first one is we're going to be doing a 30-day challenge on living the Go Giver Way. So we're
That's
working on
cool.
pulling that together. So I'm very excited. Something, a little simpler, but a day-to-day accountability that
Yes,
really helps you shift your focus. And it won't just be about business and
yes,
selling. It's going to be more about living your life and
yes.
how it impacts both aspects. To it. So that'll be coming out for November. So at the end of near the end of October, we'll be promoting that program. And then we just wrapped up a pilot program of what we're calling the Go Giver Success Alliance groups. So it's beyond a mastermind. I want
Okay.
to call it a master heart group. That it takes the basic idea of a mastermind, when you have 8 people that come together
Mhm.
to truly committed to supporting one another's growth, but everything is based around the Go Giver philosophy and is reinforcing those 5 laws and how we're living them each day in those groups. So soon we'll be opening up, people that might want to have that level of, like I say, beyond the mastermind
Right, a
type
master
of
heart. I love it.
experience.
I love it.
Mhm.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
it's just so much here, guys, as you can hear from Kathy. But the story is important, and that's why I encourage it, because it is all about you. And,
thank
and
you.
but again, here
Yeah.
you're doing, I mean, you could have come on and spent this hour speaking about, business and entrepreneurship and in a sense, the bullet points of these courses and so forth. That would have been fine. But
Mm,
again, I want to help people to see that
mm,
they have the opportunity to do exactly what you have done through their own life, however God has that
mhm,
directed for. And so it's about just following your path and so forth. So I end this with, well, before I go here, so anyone who has a desire to really plug into uh, all of what Kathy has been sharing about, their work, the Go Giver, and all of the programs, the endless referrals, as well as these programs you've been speaking about, and the course. Because I'm going to go on and do the other pieces of this. I was starting to, and then we couldn't go.
I
But
know.
but time is whatever. It is still there. So
Yeah.
I'm going to continue on because I believe so strongly in this work and the message and this framework, because there are a lot of programs out there, excuse me, there are a lot of teachers out there, but they don't have programs and structures. And you, Miss Kathy Tagenel, are a structure, or I mean, I could go on and on about your background, the
Thank you.
Kolbe and on, but well, how I
Yeah.
do want to end this is
Mhm,
there is a book that Sharon Lechter wrote with Greg Reed, Three
mm,
Feet from Gold. And I don't know if you've ever read the book, but
mm.
yes, have you read it?
Yes.
Yes.
Wonderful. Yes.
But to me, and you know a lot about my life, and
Mhm,
there's been other pandemics and challenges in my life. And there are
mhm,
places, as we all have. I'm not saying I'm unique. What I'm saying is there are places in all our lives, you shared a few today, that could have
mhm,
stopped us in our tracks and changed the trajectory and our course of our life. So what happened to this person, if anyone has not read the book, he was a person from the East Coast. It was during the gold rush, bought
mhm,
a mine, was, chipping away at it, came out from the East Coast to the West, and he gave up 3 feet from gold. And
mhm,
that's a very simplistic point of the story. But a gentleman who had been watching him bought that um, area from him, and he knew it was going to be continue if he continued on. If he
mhm,
continued on, he would reach that gold. And so, I one of the things I love about that book is Sharon Lechter's success formula, and
mm,
it is a purpose. Excuse me, it's passion plus talent times action. Excuse me, passion plus
mhm.
talent times um, a connect. What's the word? Association. I want to say
Oh,
connect.
association. I was
Association.
almost saying momentum.
Association plus
Mhm,
talent, times talent plus faith equals
mm,
success. I'm not going to ask you your you know foundation on all of those, but what I do ask everyone is,
mhm.
what is your passion and what is your talent?
Yeah, that is so true. And
I'm
that's,
I'm asking you, Kathy,
oh, me?
you,
Me? Oh, okay.
what is your
Well,
passion and what is your talent?
my passion is that I believe we are all creative beings. So I love entrepreneurship because that is an amazing way to bring our creativity forth in this world and to touch many people's lives. And, my talent is in developing things. So to take an idea um, and then bring it to fruition, create the programs and the systems that allow that idea to flourish and to take root. And I will put, you know, we didn't get a chance to really talk about the Kolbe system,
Yes.
but that I took the index in 2002. Actually, I learned about it through Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad series books. It was mentioned in one of those books, and I learned about Sharon Lecter through Rich Dad too. Um, and I took that assessment, and it's not a personality type, it's not intelligence. It identifies your striving instincts, your creative instincts, your true talents. We are born with how we can be successful. And when you understand that about yourself, and you can bring that together with your passion and your skills and experience, that is when you thrive.
Wow. Wow. You know, when you just said those words right there, I can see the foundation of Miss Sharon, because she was the co-author of Rich Dad. And so then she went on and, you know, is the author of Think and Grow Rich for Women and 3 Feet from Gold with Greg Reed, and now Napoleon Hill's annotation of Outwitting the Devil. And if you haven't read
That's a great book.
oh my gosh. Wow. That's one you got to listen to. I just love.
I was just going to say it you can read it, but which I have, but I've also listened to it. So, so back to the Kolbe, I can see Sharon in there. Wow. But back to you, my love. This woman is brilliant. She is like she said, she has said her heart, just the master heart link. I love it. But do go, we're going to put in the body of this, the links to everything that you can go to the Entrepreneurs Academy. I'm sure you're going to have all of this back on track. I mean, of course you can do it online, but the live things. So next year, but don't wait for next year. This course is ready and so well designed and so well executed, and it's ready for you right now. So don't wait till next year. Today, yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. God's gift to us is today. That's why they call it the present.
That's beautiful and so true. And, you know, that's one thing in this whole COVID period is I've been focusing not only in developing things, new programs, but working on myself, you know, allocating time every day and getting, you know, other courses, you know, from mentors of mine so that I can continue to grow. How do we do this online course? How do I market it? That type of thing. So you never stop.
Never
stop learning.
Never stop. That's one of my
That's right.
Don't stop. Just keep going. Well, Kathy, thank you so much for joining us today. I have
thank you.
enjoyed this conversation all about you. And you are truly a unique leader. And again, I welcome everyone to explore all of the work of the Go-Giver and endless referrals and the online course and things to come, but also friend Kathy on Facebook, as well as her company, Zoom Enterprise.
And Go-Givers International too.
International. So thank you folks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Be blessed.